What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. I cover political news. Now, we've been seeing a clip going around this morning of the Commerce Secretary talking about, let's extinguish Trump. Let's get him out of here. Now, the clips I've seen of it, I've seen news articles covering this and all kinds of garbage. But the clips I've seen are really short, right? So we do know that the corporate press, they love to take clips from Donald Trump and, out of context clips. So what I want to do right quick, just for you guys out there, because I like the truth, I like to get the context around these clips. Let's run that clip right quick and see exactly what she has to say.
For me, when I was the governor of Rhode Island, I was one of the first governors in the country back in 2019 to codify Roe in state statute in Rhode Island. And at the time I did that, I worked with the legislature. It was because he was president and I feared exactly what would happen. And I said that women of Rhode Island would be protected. That's real protection, stepping up and leading. What he says is the opposite. It's just another lie. Like, how did we get here? Let's extinguish him for good. We have an answer. We have a remarkably talented candidate who is sincere, who's pragmatic, who's open. Let's just get it done.
And extinguish, you mean vote him out?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Vote him out. Banish him from American politics. Yeah.
Now, right quick, it's funny to watch a 60-something-year-old or two 60-something-year-old women talk about abortion. Like, really? Why are you even involved in this? Abortion has nothing to do with you whatsoever. It's kind of insane, but it's also funny that NBC host, I forget her name right off the top of my head because I don't really care about MSNBC, but she had to clarify because she knows for a damn fact. Yeah, you shouldn't be saying stuff like this. And this is the type of language I'm talking about. No, that's not what she meant. She wants Trump to be extinguished outright. That's why she didn't clarify herself. The lady had to come in and clarify just to make sure that nobody takes this out of context, right? Which, they're going to do. They've got to do that. Both sides have to do that. But I want to put it back into context. See, that's the thing. When you put it back into context, it still means the same damn thing. But that lady knew. She had to make sure and clarify we're not talking about assassinating Donald Trump, which is what we're talking about today. The Senate came out with their report, and yeah, it's a little bit partisan to say the least. And not partisan in a good way. It's scathing, sure. It has to be scathing. But the way the corporate press runs this up, the way they drum this thing up, is insane. You'll see it. Let's get into that right quick, and then we'll talk about all this at the end. Check this out, y'all. Senate issues scathing report on Secret Service failures to protect Trump. It's just failures, right? Putting it in your mind right off the top that they just failed. Yeah, we around here, we have other ideas about that, but let's get into it right quick. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee issued a scathing report Wednesday on the multiple failures by the Secret Service to protect former President Trump at his July rally in Butler, PA. The report found agents had multiple opportunities to prevent the shooting that killed one person and injured several others, including Trump. The failures that put Trump's life at risk were foreseeable and preventable and grew out of a breakdown in communication and coordination between federal, state, and local law enforcement, the committee said. So they're telling you that, these people are just incompetent. It's not really that they're incompetent. It's just, there's this magical breakdown in communications. No, I'm sorry, I can't buy into that. But let's keep reading because they're going to contradict themselves here in a minute. Check this out. Secret Service failed to define responsibilities for planning and security at the rally, failed to secure the building from which the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, targeted Trump, and failed to effectively coordinate with state, local law enforcement, according to the report. This is all true. They failed to do all of these things. But there's some other stuff, some little spice on top of that we'll get into. The report found that the Secret Service failed to provide key resources that could have helped security, such as drones or a counter-surveillance unit. Secret Service officials denied requests for additional counter-unmanned aircraft systems or a drone, and it found that the agency failed to convey information about Crooks to key security personnel after he was identified as a suspicious person, noting Secret Service officials knew the shooter was on the roof of a nearby building 2 minutes before he fired. Now that's insane. Just that little bit right off. Okay, so they knew he was up there for 2 whole minutes, right? This is the 2 minutes. You got people over here yelling and screaming there's a guy with a gun on the roof, right? Now, before this report, we didn't know that Secret Service knew that he was on that roof. Now, we speculated because of video evidence. We saw Crooks running across the building. We're like, how can these guys not see this guy on this roof over here? Isn't that a little bit suspicious? Right? If one of those counter snipers would have looked over there with his scope, he would have been able to see this guy with a gun. It's mind-boggling to think that they didn't know that he had a gun up there, and they took no action. But now we're knowing that, yes, that was most certainly communicated to these people, so they knew. So this isn't a breakdown in communications. Far from it. This is literal, just outright unwilling to act. They did not want to do anything. That has to be the case here. The corporate press, they're trying to tell you, oh, it's just a breakdown in communications. No, I'm sorry. You just told me it was a breakdown in communications, and then you also just told me that they knew about it, that it was communicated to these people, to the Secret Service agents, and they kept Trump on the stage anyway. That tells me something totally different. That's not a breakdown in communications. Sure, there may have been a breakdown in communications, but hang on. You're telling me that they knew, Secret Service knew, and they kept Trump on stage anyway. That tells me that somebody made the call to not take Trump off that stage. Somebody made that call. Whether it was, well, we're going to let local law enforcement take care of this, or whatever the case may be. They decided intentionally to keep Trump on the stage, let him continue talking. There needs to be criminal investigations into every single one of the top people on that Secret Service detail. Anybody who was calling the shots, right? Like the guys that rushed around and dove on Donald Trump. Yeah, those guys are probably okay. Whoever was supposed to communicate to those people, like, this just blows my mind. Like, they're telling me that those people knew, the guys that rushed in. I don't think that's the case. But they're saying it was communicated to the Secret Service. So, that right there, that little bit of information tells you that somebody from the Secret Service got that communique, knew that this guy was on the roof with a gun, and decided not to tell these other people that are surrounding Trump that would escort him off stage right fast. Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff to get into on this because, we knew about this shooter 3 hours beforehand. 1 hour beforehand, he was spotted with a rangefinder. 27 minutes beforehand. 10 minutes beforehand. 2 minutes beforehand. Yeah, it's getting insane with this, and it's looking more and more like there should be some criminal culpability here. Some of the security breaches that led to the shooting, which killed Corey Carpenter, a Trump supporter who attended the rally, have been previously reported by media outlets. Yes, I'm going to cover those. But the Senate committee's report offers one of the most detailed accounts so far of how Crooks was able to fire multiple shots at Trump, including one that grazed the former president's right ear. Committee investigators found that Secret Service personnel were notified of a suspicious person with a rangefinder around the American Glass Research Building adjacent to the rally venue about 27 minutes before the shooting. See, the way they say that, if you don't know anything about this, it's a building adjacent to the venue, as if to tell you that it's not right there. Like, it should have been part of the venue. But they're telling you, it's just adjacent. So it wasn't within the Secret Service security perimeter when it should be. We all know this. It should have been in that security perimeter. We know that. I mean, it's so obvious. A dumbass like me could figure that out. Like, after this all took place, like, soon as I looked at this building where he shot from, like, why was this not covered? That was one of my first questions. Why was this not secured? How was he allowed to get up there? Oh, well, hang on. That wasn't inside their security perimeter. What a stupid thing to think. And they found that the Secret Service was notified about an individual on the roof of the building 2 minutes before Crooks fired at Trump. A Secret Service counter sniper saw local law enforcement running toward the building with their guns drawn, but failed to alert Trump's protective detail to remove him from the stage. The counter sniper later said it did not cross his mind to tell Trump's detail of the possible need to evacuate him. Now, once again, that is some damning evidence of, yes, this guy intentionally did not tell these people, right? Like, they're telling us this. They're telling you it was an inside job. That Secret Service intended to allow all this to go on and keep Trump on stage, keep him exposed to where he could be shot. How come this committee hasn't recommended charges to the DOJ? Oh, wait, hang on, because they're Democrats and they want to extinguish Donald Trump. They would love nothing more than to get rid of this man. They would love it if he just decided, I'm going to go away. I'm going to go to the Bahamas and stay for the rest of my life. I'm not ever coming back. They would love that more than anything. But that's not happening. That's not what's going on right now. The man is running for president. And I read another story earlier of 9 different occasions where Secret Service denied requests from the Trump team for additional Secret Service, for additional agents, for more counter surveillance and all this garbage. Denied. Now, hang on. We had a committee hearing where the director of the Secret Service said that they never denied anything. She quit. Then the acting director comes in and states the same damn thing, only for 2 weeks later to find out that they told the Secret Service in the field on Trump's team not to request additional resources. So hang on, you can't request additional resources unless you're told not to do so. So yes, there were no requests, but hang on. There most definitely were requests. So we are being lied to at every single angle, every single corner. Sorry, I had trouble getting that out for some reason. Every single turn, we're getting lied to about something. And now they're going to come out with this? I can't wait to hear the House's version of this report. The Senate is ran by the Democrats. We know this, so it's going to be partisan. Like I said, they would love nothing more than to extinguish Trump, like that Commerce Secretary said. That's insane to me. These people have got to stop it with the rhetoric. They need to tone it down a little bit. You can speak bad about Donald Trump without calling him an existential threat to the country. You can speak about Donald Trump as president without calling him a threat to democracy, because we all know that's not true. We all know it's not true. It's hyperbole, but some people seem to be taking it seriously, and these people ain't taking their rhetoric seriously, because we got Cenk Uygur over here talking about, hell no, I ain't gonna tone down my rhetoric. What do you want me to kiss his ass or something like that? Say, oh, he's a good man? No, we don't, Cenk. We want you to stop calling him Hitler, for crying out loud. Stop calling him an existential threat. That's the most insane thing to me. They're just continuing this rhetoric. This is outright insane. But that's even more insane. They can't wait 5 seconds for an attempted assassination on Donald Trump to come out and start just bashing him again. Just continue with the rhetoric. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even stop. Because 1 hour after this second attempt, after we found out about this second attempt on Trump's life, Hakeem Jeffries says, I forget the exact quote, I apologize. I'm trying to think of what it was right now. I can't think of it, I'm sorry. It was a few weeks ago. But it was something to the effect that we need to eliminate Donald Trump. Something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, so don't take that quote as verbatim, because it's not. But it's just insane to me. They just don't. It's totally inappropriate. They do not slow down. They do not let up. They keep ratcheting up this rhetoric, and it's just getting more and more and more insane. Support for Trump keeps going up. There was another poll come out today. Trump is up in 3 of the battleground states: Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania, of all places. Up by a good bit. Then we've had other polls come out and say, no, Harris is leading. It's like these polls are all over the damn place. But we can't afford another. But that's not what this video is about, so I'm not going to get into some rant. Let's keep going. Senate investigators say local law enforcement alerted the Secret Service 2 days before the event that the proximity of the American Glass Research Building was a security threat and that they did not have enough officers to lock it down. Oh my goodness. So, right, like, to me, as a Secret Service agent, like thinking as one, I'm not one obviously, but they already knew this. That was clear to them. You can go and scout out that fairgrounds or whatever the hell that was right there, and to think that they wouldn't know that, yeah, you're a bit arrogant if you think that they wouldn't be able to know that that is a threat, that needs to be within their security perimeter. And we've already gone over all this, so I'm not gonna rail on too long for this, but yeah, somebody decided not to put that within their security perimeter. Once again, placing more evidence towards inside job here. I mean, it's already clear that it's an inside job, but to the extent of an inside job is what I'm getting at, because inside job could be, like this says, one guy. We've talked about this before, by the way. One guy just not communicating that, hey, there's an active threat, a guy with a gun over here on a roof. And he doesn't communicate that to these few people that are on stage with Trump. One guy, that's all it takes. And that's an inside job, folks. No conspiracy theories needed here, right? So it's no longer just epic failure, just the most epicest failure ever, right? That, as a matter of fact, the corporate press narrative, this was a breakdown in communications. That's a conspiracy theory. Inside job is now the main motivation for this. This is the main theory as to what happened here. You have to make so many assumptions to get to a communications breakdown. Once again, like I said, they're telling us outright that Secret Service knew that this guy had a gun on the freaking roof. Inside job, folks. And they said Secret Service agents later interviewed by the Senate committee gave conflicting accounts about their discussions about how to secure the building, and said it was local law enforcement's responsibility to secure the outer perimeter. Once again, trying to take the blame off of themselves. That should have been within the security perimeter. Once again, these people... Accountability, folks. Accountability. Anthony Guglielmini, a spokesperson for the Secret Service, said the agency has reviewed the report and noted that some of its findings mirror its own conclusions from an internal review. Some? Many of the insights gained from the Senate report align with the findings from our mission assurance review and are essential to ensuring that what happened on July 13th never happens again, Guglielmini said. Yeah, if it happens again, yeah, all of these people need to go down. They all need to be criminally investigated, because I'm not going to get into that. I'm trying to finish this story before we go too long. The spokesperson said the Secret Service is cooperating with Congress, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security's Inspector General to review the security lapses at Butler. See, once again, they're still trying to put out this narrative that it's just security lapses. That's not a security lapse. Secret Service knew there was an active threat, a guy with a gun over here. You don't just not communicate that to these people that are surrounding Donald Trump. I am sorry. There is no world in which people that are supposed to protect another person would get this information and keep this person exposed. That makes no logical sense whatsoever. So, for them to tell me it's a security lapse, they're lying. They're outright lying. They're trying to push this conspiracy theory on everybody. Right? Once again, it's official. Security failures, that's a conspiracy theory made up to shunt off accountability for themselves. That's what they are doing. This is insane. Like, not the normal hyperbolic insane that I always talk about. Truly insane. The U.S. Secret Service has implemented changes to our protective operations, including elevating the protective posture of our protectees and bolstering our protective detail as appropriate in order to ensure the highest levels of safety and security for those we protect, Guglielmini said. Ronald Rowe Jr., the acting director of the Secret Service, told senators during a joint hearing of the Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees that the attempted assassination of Trump on July 13th was a failure on multiple levels. No. Now we find out it was intentional on multiple levels. But the committee investigators wrote that Secret Service supervisors later declined to acknowledge individual areas of responsibility for planning or security as having contributed to the failure to prevent the shooting that day. Committee investigators reported that several key requests for information to the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, Bureau of the ATF, and Secret Service remain outstanding, and that the majority of documents provided to the Secret Service and Homeland Security Department were heavily redacted. I wonder why that is. Once again, accountability, folks. We don't get much of it with the Biden administration. These overly burdensome redactions, including of communications related to the same individuals who the committee interviewed, only serve to delay the committee's ability to conduct these interviews and carry out its investigation efficiently and effectively, the committee states in its report. Senate Homeland Security Committee Chair Gary Peters and Senator Rand Paul, the panel's ranking member, announced on July 15th that their committee would conduct a bipartisan investigation. And you know what? The FBI scrubbed evidence anyway. They went ahead and cleaned this building off, and they got rid of Thomas Crooks's body so nobody else could perform an autopsy. Yeah, the House found that out. That's insane. They got 10 days later, knowing that the House is going to be conducting an investigation and the Senate is going to be conducting an investigation, and they got rid of his body. I wonder why that is. Wonder why that is, and we'll never know. We will never know the information on that. That's insane. That's another insane bit of information. Our committee is focused on getting all the facts about the security failures. Once again, trying to plant this seed into your mind that it's a security failure. It's not. They just told us it's not. This is not me making up some conspiracy theory. This is the corporate press outright telling you. But you know what? Well, you got to read between the lines to get that it was an inside job. Because they have outright told us most definitely it was an inside job. But you notice they keep on trying to push this conspiracy theory that it was some sort of security failure. I don't get that. Why that is? Is it the corporate press or is it the Senate Homeland Security Committee? Wonder. Sounds like both, if you ask me. Our committee is focused on getting all the facts about the security failures that allowed the attacker to carry out this heinous act of violence that threatened the life of former President Trump, killed at least one person in the crowd, and injured several others, Peters said 2 days after the shooting. That's just nuts. This is one of the most insane reports on this assassination attempt I think I've ever read. Right? Like, we've covered this at length. At great length on this. And this is one of the most scathing things I think I've ever seen. For them to find that Secret Service knew 27 minutes beforehand that there's a guy with a rangefinder over here. 10 minutes beforehand, 2 minutes beforehand, that there's a guy with a freaking gun on the roof, and that was communicated to the Secret Service. That's insane. And they allowed Trump to stay on that stage anyway. That tells me, once again, it's not a conspiracy theory. That's what the information gives us. That's a person with the Secret Service withheld pertinent information to keep a protectee protected. They withheld that information. Did not tell the people they were supposed to tell. What does that tell you? Oh, that was a security failure? No, that's not a security failure. That's sabotage, by the way. That's what that is. That's sabotage. Like, if you know that the ship you're working on, using sabotage, right? Because that's colloquially attributed to ships, to, damaging a ship. Oh, sabotage, right? So let's go with that. So if you know the engines on your ship don't have any oil in them, because they just changed the oil and forgot to fill them up, and you allow for the captain to start that engine up anyway and take off out to sea, that's sabotage, which is exactly what this is. This guy had the information. There's a guy over here with a gun climbing up onto a roof with an AR-style gun. We don't know the exact model and make of the gun, so we'll just call it that. I hate using that. It's a long gun. We'll put it that way. So you got a guy climbing on the roof with a long gun. 2 whole minutes. You know how long that is when you find out this information, right? They have radios. They can talk to each other. When they find out this information, all they'd had to do, watch how long this takes. You got a guy with a gun over here on the roof. Local authorities are tracking him down, blah, 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 blah. Okay, thanks. Take care of that. Hey, you need to get Trump off the stage. That took about 15 seconds, if that. 2 whole minutes. That's just it. Once again, I hate to keep saying it blows my mind, but my mind has been blown out every single side of my head. The top has came off, went back on, been blown back apart again by this security failure. I'm sorry. This was an inside job. Somebody with the Secret Service allowed for this to happen. Once again, you put all the pieces of the puzzle together. We come to find that it's not a conspiracy theory. That is the most logical conclusion that anyone can derive from the information that we have, from the facts that are given. That's the most logical conclusion, that at least one person decided to ignore the fact that there's a guy over here with a gun and your protectee is in danger of having his life taken. That's what that tells you. That's intentional. That's not an accident. That's not a breakdown in communications like they're trying to tell you. That's intentional. They knew this was going to happen. They knew that there's a guy over here with a freaking gun. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm trying to give new information here, but it just, once again, it's insane to me that they keep trying to tell us it's a security failure when it's not. That's not a failure, right? Once again, if it's intentional, they knew of the security. God dang. Tired of repeating myself here, but that's where the logic brings me. This is just getting outright crazy to me. We really need some criminal culpability going on. I really hope that the DOJ takes this seriously, because when the House releases their report, if they do not have some corresponding charge recommendations for the DOJ for criminal investigation into some of these Secret Service members, all of them, I want to find out who this was. I want to find out the guy. It's going to be hard to find this information out, but not really, actually, now that I think about it a little bit. And you might think, how the hell can you think about stuff while you're talking? Yeah. Yeah, I constantly have something going on in the back of my head constantly. Even while I'm talking, while I'm reading, it's a new ability I didn't know I had until I started YouTube. And I started noticing, sorry, trying to not to change the subject, but I just find this fascinating. That I start reading stuff out, and I've got myself talking to myself in the background while I'm... As a matter of fact, I'm doing it even when I'm talking right now, thinking of what I'm going to say next. That's why sometimes I have trouble moving on from a topic. I'll keep repeating myself a little bit sometimes. It's because I'm thinking of new stuff to say. But it's just mind-blowing, y'all, that they knew about this 2 minutes beforehand. 2 entire minutes. You might think that's not a long time. But once again, to communicate to somebody, hey, get the guy off the stage. That's simple. Like, takes seconds to do that. Takes literal seconds. I mean, we can go in on the counter sniper team because once again, that we knew from video evidence that this guy's running across the roof over here. They had to know that that's out of the ordinary to maybe look over there with some binoculars, or how about the scope that you're looking through? And they'd have been able to tell this guy had a gun. And it takes seconds to get down into the prone position and line up your shot. And you're going to wait until you get everything lined up, right? They saw the guy running. They had plenty of time to get this guy in their scope. They have the authority. If they see somebody pointing a gun at a protectee, they most certainly have the authority to pull that trigger. Once again, that's tragic, like we talked about yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, I'd suggest go watching it. It's amazing. Not many people have watched it yet, but go check that out. We discussed some very deep topics in that, but they had to have seen this guy with a gun. Now, there's some questions about that as well. Maybe the guy was a little bit skittish, didn't want to take the shot. Understandable. I'll give them that one. Which, in the back of my mind, once again, I'm thinking, if you see the guy, you got a protectee over here. He's a former president, soon to be president. You got to protect your protectee. This guy's pointing a gun at the guy you're supposed to protect. But I will give them that one. Maybe he wasn't sure it was a gun. There we go. There's your conspiracy theory. But for them to know there's a guy over here with a gun well before he was able to line up his shot, get everything set up, and get all this, they knew beforehand. I mean, they knew police were running at this guy, at this building, with their guns drawn. And you're not going to get your protectee protected? You're going to leave him exposed. Insane. Once again, even, I don't know, I think I'm going to cut it off here because I'm just going to keep repeating myself because this is just, it blows my mind how the corporate press and the Senate is telling us it's just a security failure, y'all, when that is the conspiracy theory. You'll probably have the corporate press, the mainstream narrative machine out there like, oh, there's all these conspiracy theories about an inside job, and then they go on to tell you that it was an inside job while at the same time trying to tell you that it's a security failure. This security failure was this. It was just a security failure, a breakdown in communications. Once again, these people never cease to amaze me, the lengths they will go to lie to me and you and to everybody. To everybody. Blows my mind. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. Y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. I did it wrong. Peace.